Hi, my name is Ginko. 42 days ago, I didn't know what a VTuber even was, but now, look at me. To create a VTuber, I had two choices, Vroid or Live2d. Vroid looked easier, but I chose pain. I mean, Live2d. After drowning in tutorials, I found my savior, Merrily Buffet series. I owe you my sanity. Live2d means drawing everything in layers. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. I was performing surgery in my own character. Finally, I open Live2d. I am ready. I'm strong. I import my Photoshop file and... oh my god, it's a monster, an absolute abomination. All the layers are unclipped. She looks like a PNG dragged through hell. So I start clipping them one by one. There has to be a better way. I try holding shift. It works! I can clip them in groups. Alright, automatic remesh. Well, that was easy. I started with the seed head angle, eye positions, eye physics, eye smile, then moved to the XY face angles. Now, some things feel natural because listen, I'm a jack of all trades at this point. I can stumble through literally any software if you give me chocolate and cows. But some things make me feel like an absolute moron, like selecting vertices without accidentally grabbing everything behind them. Seems obvious, right? I'm clicking, dragging, accidentally grabbing the entire face when I just want the nose. I'm googling Live2d select vertices only. I'm researching forums, reading Reddit threads from 2014. Nothing! So here is where I tell you about the legendary technique a friend taught me. Picture this, I'm teaching him Blender, right? And instead of following my careful directions, the left, no, I mean the other left, the button that looks like a sandwich wearing a hat, he will just randomly click buttons. And I'm like, what are you doing? You will break everything. But you know what? It worked. And I learned so much about Blender, even though I've been years working with it. Genius. So now, that's my strategy too. Can't find the solution? Just start clicking. Hold Ctrl, Alt, Shift. Eventually, something works. In this case, the answer was Shift. Next, mouth positions. I started freehanding them because I'm confident, I'm an artist, I've been drawing for years. It's just shaping half a circle. I cannot draw a smile. I quickly realized two things. One, the mouse doesn't have enough resolution for all this bending. It's stretching like a mozzarella pizza in a 1981 TV commercial. And two, my eyes are fundamentally broken, because I cannot figure out a simple smile shape without divine intervention. So I went to Pinterest and found this mouth guide, made stencils, improved the lip resolution, and game changer! Now the mouth actually looks like a mouth, not like she's Mid Smith. This is where I met my new friend and enemy, glue. The magic substance that holds things together. The mysterious entity I don't understand. We will get back to glue later. Oh, we will. Can we talk about temporary deformers? They are like little helper elves. They save me hours. Genuinely, if temporary deformers were a person, I would buy them dinner. So I'm testing everything, feeling good, and then I check the physics, and what in the actual? Why is she possessed? She looks like she's about to crawl through the screen and harvest my organs. I'm dead. Turns out, I accidentally clicked the pattern B animation button. That's all it took. One misclick to almost give me a heart attack, thinking I had broken everything. Now, hair dynamics. I'm so proud of the hair. At first, I tried the skinning, like the tutorial said, but it looked boring, and it also broke into pieces, which was not ideal. So I found a short tutorial from Kuorama, absolute legend, and follow his parameters instead. Flowy, bouncy, magnificent. It was very straightforward to make. It's just creating wrap deformers for each strand and 7 parameters. You will notice that at first I made the mistake of creating 15 parameters instead to divide the hair into groups and make a bit more of variation in the movement. But that made it look very messy, so at the end I joined them. The result made me want to reach through the screen and run my fingers through it like in a Pantene commercial. Ears! We need maximum expressiveness, in, out, up and down. Now it has happiness, sadness, and automatic flapping. For the in and out movement, I did something a bit unorthodox. I drew the frontal side again, in 2 layers instead of 1. Well, 4 if you count the outer lines. But you know what? The deformation looks prettier this way. In all the decimals of the parameter, not just the start and the end. I love the bouncy physics. Following, I made toggles for countless of hand gestures. Some of them so natural, so unsettling, like hands drawn by someone who's only heard of hands but never seen them. Me! So I kept only the good ones, quality over quantity. Also, some hands got repurposed, like the rare gesture, completely unplanned. It was supposed to be a balanced gesture or something like that. Now it's cute! Rare. Happy accidents! Making gestures was slow but smooth. Each gesture got its own parameter. But if I could start over, I'd change everything, just making a few parameters. Shoulder, elbow, wrist rotation and arm contraction. That's everything necessary for basic toggles. I would have saved time, because my poor laptop was dying. 8 GB of RAM is not enough for this madness. It took ages to process every single click. Anyways, time for the tail. I watched Kuorama's tail tutorial featuring salty Rayovin rigging technique. I tried the skinning as previously with the hair. It didn't work. Why? Glue, probably. At this point, I was only 1 week in Live2d. I didn't understand the mysteries and wonders of glue. Glue was like a cryptid, an enigma, a legend. So I decided, you know what? The tail is just hair with flesh and bones, but who cares about those? As long as I don't see them, the tail gets the hair treatment. I started by painting 1 wrap deformer across 5 parameters. It stretched horribly like toffee, so I started again. Each parameter got its own deformer, each one smaller than the last, like Russian nesting dolls. And it looks so much better! Then I spent way too much time having fun figuring out the physics. Beautiful! Time for a break, just kidding. Time to draw more toggles, yay! Guess who thought this is too easy and wanted to work for extra hours? This idiot, me. I'm the idiot, stupid sandwich. I still didn't fully understand glue, but somehow my tears toggle look good. They even fall with gravity when tilting the head in the seed head angle. At the peak of my laptop crashing, I looked at the mask and thought, this looks very flat, so I redesigned it. Now it properly rotates, especially in the x-axis. I use the same technique as the ears, compounding layers, creating this nice 2D effect, totally worth it. Time for the texture atlas. I tried the automatic layout first, it's crap. The automatic UV maps in Blender, it's galaxies ahead, but it is what it is. So, I placed the textures manually for hours. Although, I got to admit that with background music, it was quite entertaining. Don't tell anyone. Finally, I exported the file, opened VTuber Studio to check that everything was working properly. It was not. What follows is me fixing details and exporting 7 times. 7. My laptop aged 50 years, I aged 100. We all aged together. Then I dove into the animation window and created all the keyframes for the toggles. Tears, check. Book, check. Drink, check. Ears down, high, hair, check. I also went back and improved the hair. Now it moves properly when moving the head in the XY position, not just the face angle. Look at that smooth, natural movement. Details matter. I decided to create 5 more parameters for vowels, because the normal mouth is great for smiling, but terrifying for talking, opens way too much. So I linked the vowels to sound. Brilliant idea, right? Wrong. This created a massive headache because the teeth developed free will. The teeth were floating, rotating, going on adventures. Why are you like this, teeth? Stay in the mouth. It took me days to figure out what was wrong. The teeth finally succumbed to my omnipotent authority. Honestly, finishing the details took the most time. My laptop spent hours every time I needed to sport, significantly reducing my work hours each day. It was like,
Yes, let me just process this. It will take 3-4 hours.
what? I just changed one layer name!
Did I stutter, darling?
So, at this point, I finished everything I planned. Everything done, complete, voila. I thought this would take me the full 42 days, but nope, it only took 20. Turns out the learning curve wasn't as steep as expected, because in comparison, Blender is like putting socks to an octopus, while it's wrestling with you in the dark underwater. So, here I am, 22 days left, no plans. At this point I felt invincible, like I can rig anything, sky's the limit, time to make a dance. At first, everything seemed smooth, easy, I'm a genius, but then I opened the animation window to check the transitions. She is possessed! Again! The culprits? Rotation deformers. I had created keyforms for start and finish, so every time I created keyforms in the middle, they calculated an average rotation and went completely feral in the transitions.
Game over.
This time, I added one keyform at a time, no end keyform yet. You may have noticed that I duplicated some layers like the arms to change whether they appear in front or behind other layers. Very clever, but turns out there is a much easier way to do that. It's called changing the drawing order. I learned that later doing the Pseudo 3D objects. After making all the arm movements, I manually adjust each keyform of the sleeves so they look attached. Then I add a grab deformer to the whole body for more dynamic movement, and open the animation window to make all the head movements, expressions, and especially light tracks. These were a pain to animate. I made 2 parameters for each. One that determined length and direction, another for shape, round to the inside, outside, or straight. I really had to put my brain to work over time, because the length and shape vary wildly, depending not just on the speed and direction but also accounting for the next movement. If you don't plan ahead, it looks unnatural and wrong. Adjusting here and there, I finally export and open VTuber Studio. Everything looks fine, beautiful, I'm so proud until the end. When she suddenly becomes Mr. Miyagi, why? Yeah, karate move. What was that? Well, here's what happened. The Live2d editor only shows 30 frames per second, only showing frames in round numbers. But VTuber Studio doesn't care about that. Depending when you start the animation, it might show every half a frame. And if you remember, the rotation deformers don't go from 0 to 360 and seamlessly to 0 again. Oh no! This thing at the end of the dance has done like a 3000-degree angle and is ready to make all those movements again in half a second to become neutral. To fix it, you have to get into the graph editor and make the frame snap instead of smooth to neutral. Fix it, she is no longer training for the Karate Kid sequel. Now everything looks fantastic. Later, I realized that complex dances like this aren't common in Live2d VTubers. In fact, I couldn't find any. The ones I saw were 3D models. But you know what? Sometimes you got to break the rules to make something great. Or I have no idea what I'm doing and got lucky. Could be either. Next, I wanted a cute animation for stream breaks, so I drew a strawberry cream cake. Adorable, but when drawing it, my stomach growled so much I swear my neighbors could hear it. Like, girl, shut up! Did you buy a lion? Give him food! The cake ended up looking extremely delicious, too delicious, dangerously delicious. I wanted to eat my screen. After animating the dance, you may be thinking, this must have been like a walk in a park, very easy. No, it was hell. Here is what you probably didn't think about. The animation itself is very simple, moving the arm up and down again and again. Boring. Have you thought about expressions? A flat face doesn't make the cut. Finding the right variety of expressions to entertain someone for 1 minute was extremely difficult. It took more days than the entire dance animation, and when I finished, I realized it still looked flat. Something was missing. Background flowers with physics, they sway and bounce and add so much life to the scene. So cute! Next, I decided to make her a friend, so I drew it while my laptop froze in the background. Multitasking at its finest. Then rigged it in a few hours. Very simple but extremely bouncy rig. Look at those eyes, so sparkly. At first, the animation is just appearing in Ginko's arms. But then I realized I forgot about his tail and it looked a bit boring. So instead, I decided to draw and rig wings. Now it flutters over and gracefully lands in her arms to be hugged. Perfection. While searching for inspiration, I saw this clip from Biflo's mind-blown brain explosion. I was in awe. How did he do that? I spent the whole morning running errands, visiting my grandpa, riding the bus, walking the neighbor's dog, the whole time doing simulations in my head. And at 3 p.m. mid-walk, it struck me. I will have to duplicate all the layers and place them on top of a dark filter. Create masks for where the shadows are and reverse them. The key is applying to each layer not just its corresponding reverse shadow mask, but also all the layers above. Because if you don't, all the light will bleed through the shadows. Like seeing the light from the back hair through the face shadow. We don't want that. Although, I don't think this is the method Biflo's use. The result is amazing! Look at the lighting, those shadows! I felt like a genius, a mad scientist, a wizard. After that masterpiece, I didn't know what to do next. I thought I was finished. Starting editing the video, scrolling YouTube, relaxing. How is that even possible? That looks 3D in a 2D program? This tutorial from Sumireno blew my mind. I want that. So I drew a sword. After some trial and error, it didn't look good enough. Time for research. I found Nafigo's tutorial on Pseudo 3D objects and it's all glue. Remember how me and glue don't have a great relationship? Well, with this sword, I forced glue to be my best friend. Aggressive friendship. Now I can say I can 3D model in a 2D software. Yay! First I wanted to make an animation with her unsheathing the sword, but then I realized I only have a few days left. Rigging each individual finger was going to take forever. There is not enough room for mistakes. Panic! So instead, flying swords. It ended up looking better than what was originally planned. 10 out of 10, felt like an anime protagonist. No regrets, I'm ready to defeat the Demon Lord. Oh, and by the way, the sword model is now on my Patreon, so you can use it on any Live2d animation. Colors are easy to change by painting over the texture atlas or replacing the mesh source. I will also be posting there other miscellaneous like Blender Python scripts that make your life easier when modeling and procedural materials. Your support truly means the world to me. And that was 42 days. I started with the basics, ended with a 3D sword, a dance, delicious cake, experimental lighting, and a cute new pet. Thank you. I will be open for Live2d and 3D modeling commissions. My email is ginkoinari@gmail.com. See you in the next one. Subscribe if you liked it.